Alright, this is Big Boss, Foxhound Woodsball, coming to you from Fort Lauderdale and from my blog page over at outerheavenpaintball.blogspot.com. Anyway, this video we're going to be discussing something that is critical for all you tactical paintball players, airsoft, even actual military guys, real steel shooters, armed prepared citizens. This is one of those things that's going to be across the board for any kind of tactical survivalist and any of those kind of conditions. It's the ability to improvise, adapt, and overcome. You've got a problem, you've got to adapt to your situation. With that problem, you improvise your solution and you overcome that motherfucking problem. That's pretty much what it's all about for this particular video and its adjoining article. You can find the written article over at outerheavenpaintball.blogspot.com. And now I'm going to be going through a lot of things. What you can do is a wide range of things, from pouches, what you can do with Alice Smalley adapters, Alice clips, some 550 cords, some GI type duct tape, and maybe a few other little items here and there. But I'll be going through this stuff in depth for a bit. But before I do, we're going to have a quick word from our friends over at acidtactical.com. Don't forget to check them out. You can find them on Etsy. You can find them on eBay, Amazon. You can check out their site directly, as well as don't forget to check out their Teespring shop. And remember, when the shit hits the fan and you've got to trust your gear with your life, ask yourself this one question: can your gear survive the acid test? Well, with that being said, we'll get to the commercial and then we'll be right back.
Over the years, Acid Tactical has provided tactical equipment for all aspects of shooting sports, from paintball, airsoft, right down to our military personnel and law enforcement at a fraction of the cost for a name brand item. Our 550 cord slings are professionally made and built solid. They come in both single and 2-point configurations, and you can take our slings straight to hell and back and it will still keep working. It doesn't matter if you want to stand out or blend in. Our professionally made vinyl stencils are just the thing you need to allow you to create that perfect camo paint job or mix it up for a custom design of your own making. This is just a small sampling of the gear we have to offer at Acid Tactical. The market is flooded with tactical gear and accessories of all makes and models the world over. However, when the crap hits the fan, ask yourself this one question: can your gear survive the acid test?
Okay, first off on this list, we got your basic pod pack. This is one that I've used since I was 19 when I first got into the sport. Now, these are great. Both are open. As you can see, this one in particular holds 100 round paintball pods. These are, I got one here made by 32 Degrees. The other one's a generic one that's the exact same thing. You can find these anywhere. They are a dime a dozen, especially for you hopper fed guys, and if you need something to fit into a military type chest rig or anything that can hold at least 2 AR or 2 AK mags in a pouch. These things will fit in something like that. Just remember, look for something that's adjustable, but I digress. Now, these things are pretty decent. You got these nice sized belt loops on here, so they could fit through just about any kind of belt on the market. You can even put these on GI issue pistol belts. But if you need something on the fly, these things are not bad as being improvised magazine pouches. As you can see, I got two 20 round 68 caliber magazines in here, and this pouch can effectively hold 2 of them in each panel. So a little something on the fly if you need something to swap over to. If you go from magazine fed game or a hopper fed, this thing would be good general purpose, or at least as a stopgap measure. But what more can you do with this? So give me 1 second. Okay, got the thing set up as a chest rig configuration. Now, I haven't run something like this in God knows how many years. This is when I first did paintball back when I was 19, 20 years old. This is before I discovered the joys of the LBV 88 series. Let me pop up a couple pictures on that one. Wow, I'm talking holy shit balls. I did not have that kind of paintball rig since I was a little kid. And then with the LBV 88, God. How the years fucking fly by. Now, okay. Now as you can see, I got this thing set up like a chest rig. How this thing was set up, I set up 2 belts going through here. I just made it so that way it does a X cross in my back, so that way it adds for a little bit of stability, but you could do this however you like. Just make sure that this is stable and it can hold. Now this is set up primarily as a mag fed rig, so I've got a battle belt on with my secondary weapon here being the Tip-X pistol. I got Molly dive belt adapters all along this pistol belt. And I got 2 magazines right here on AR mag pouch that is a cheapo airsoft thing made in communist China. I try to go American made as much as possible, or at least from quality distributors. But long story short, let me get rid of this belt. As you can see, dive belt adapters, pistol. Do the math on that one. Now, creme de la creme on this one, as you can see, you can open it up, pull the mag out, slap it into the gun, bada bing, bada boom. You can do it. And let's discard 2 mags, and I'll show you what else with the pods. This is what I usually did when I played back when I went hopper fed with this damn thing. What I did was, it would either be like this, or I'd have it tucked in. And for me back then, it made sense to have it tucked in so I could easily pull the pod out when I'm running a hopper fed for a better reload. Other than that, these things are pretty good for most general purpose needs, but keep in mind they are rather limited. They're not bad for carrying individual magazines, but it's only really a stopgap measure until you have to move on to something that is more durable and mission flexible, that's in a more tactical setup. What's in the name? The classic phrase from William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. It's one of those things that could have so many meanings in today's world. However, for tactical players, war fighters, and so on and so forth, this could mean a lot when it comes down to the pouches we run with. What were they originally set up for? What we could hold in them? What we could use them for aside from what they were intended. With this, I've got some pouches laid out for our intents and purposes to give you a rundown on what they can and cannot be used for. Everything from your classic GI military surplus. We've got GI surplus from the early days of Molly gear. We've got commercial made offerings. We got paintball made offerings here. These pouches here and here are made by Modern Combat Sports, and we've also got some more Molly genuine GI surplus. So, going to be going down the list and definitely running through each one of these. Okay, this for the uninitiated is the M1972 all-purpose lightweight load-bearing equipment magazine pouch, aka the Alice pouch, which is part of the bigger Alice system. It's also dubbed 782 gear, Deuce gear, you name it, it probably is that. Now, as you can see, it's a pretty straightforward design. You got two retention clips in the back that are carryovers from your M1956 and your M1967 load-bearing equipment. You got a little eyelet up here to add into the suspender portion for your web harness. You've got two little pouches on the side here, which are used for M67 fragmentation grenades, but you can use this for other items. It's got a nice open section here, and for my intents and purposes, this is holding a 75 round paintball pod. This one is made by Viewloader. As you can see, this one is way ancient. Been back when I first got into paintball. As you can see, 75 rounds. Fits in here perfectly, though. As you can see, this thing did have little dividers here that I had to cut out so that way I could accommodate the paintball pod. But it could also carry 3 30-round Stanag mags of 5.56 for your M16s, your M4s, stuff like that. But you could probably do 2 20-round 7.62x51 NATO mags if you're rocking an M14. But I digress. This thing is fairly universal. You can find these a dime a dozen on the surplus sites, surplus stores, anywhere where military and tactical gear are sold. And these things, because you can cut out the dividers here, these things make very handy little pouches for all your needs. I've seen guys take these and turn these into IFAKs. I've seen guys turn these things into small GP pouches. You name it, it could probably work for you. Let me show you a little something you can do with those grenade pouches right quick. Now, as you can see, load this thing back up with the pod, but as you can see, these pouches here are worth their weight in gold in their own way. Even if you don't have frag grenades, you can still use similar size objects in here for various things. Tennis balls if you're in a training environment. Probably a paint grenade, but I probably wouldn't want to run the risk of that one. But as you can see, I got a GI issue angle head flashlight in here just to show you what can be done with these grenade pouches instead of cutting them off. Another option would be this Molly Woodland magazine pouch. This one is made by Soldier Defense Systems. This one came with my Molly Medic 2 vest. As you can see, I rigged it up the same way as I rigged up the Alice pouch, but you've also got this additional pocket here that you could use for anything from small cleaning items, small bandages, or a small little general purpose pouch here. Kind of trying to get this open one hand, not exactly the best bet, but as you can see with the pocket dimensions, you could get some small items in here. Molly designed, and also holds provisions for an M67 frag grenade that I'm using to hold an angle head flashlight. As you can see, it can hold 2 30-round Stanag mags, but in this setup that I've got here, I'm using it for a 75 round paintball pod from Viewloader. This, however, will not fit your 100 round pods that are made by 32 Degrees or its generic cousins. Now, as you can see, give me a second, I'm doing this one-handed. As you can see, this pouch sits the pod sits a little too high in here, and it does not allow you to get a good closure on here. So these pouches for hopper fed will be a no-go. Mag fed, on the other hand, I've got a single 20 round T68 mag in here. As you can see, I'm going to pop it in as if it was actual ammo. Put it in. And this is pretty much as tight as I could get it. I can't even get the Velcro to engage itself because of the size of the 68 caliber magazine. However, 50 caliber round mags, well, 58 caliber paintball mags would probably be able to fit in here, but I doubt it. However, still decent as a little gear pouch, a little GP pouch, or if you're doing real steel or airsoft. Okay, we got AR mag pouches. This one I got from Massive Tactical, but it is fairly generic like other magazine type pouches. This one is, you can see, not looking at it, it's decent, but these things are made all over the place and vary greatly in quality. This one in particular, I was just able to get this one adjusted to the max so that way I can hold a 100 round, well, in this case 75 round paintball pod here, made by Viewloader, and this one here can hold one 20 round 68 caliber magazine. These things can hold each two 30 round Stanag mags if you're running a 5.56, but as far as paintball goes, you can use these for the following, as you can see, or other general items, from cell phones. You can put tourniquets in here. Magazine pouches like this, be careful where you get them. They have a lot of standards as far as who makes them, so be cautious about that one. Find what works for you. As a rule of thumb, when you get pouches like these, always check them as far as their build quality. This one here, you've got loops through here, so that way you could pass more stuff through here if you need to add anything additional, so keep that part in mind. This one's also, as you can see, very adjustable. You can adjust the magazine flap here. Some guys just get rid of these entirely to have it as a speed loader, but with that being said, always look and see what works for you. Modern Combat Sports sells these, and they can hold two 68 caliber magazines, so check them out on that one. And also, for all my pistol shooters, you can put a pistol in these. I've seen pictures online about guys in Afghanistan, Iraq, if they're not running a gun belt, they'll use a magazine pouch as a pistol pouch. Now, I don't got my pistol around, or I don't have one on hand to test it with, but for a pouch like this, you can get away with something the size of a Glock, a Beretta, 1911 government model would fit. So keep that in mind when looking at your equipment. See what works for you on that one. You can mount this practically anywhere and it will serve you well. Okay, for this particular one, we got a pair of canteen pouches, 2 different generations. This one here in the wooden camouflage pattern is a commercial version of your Alice canteen pouch. This one is not United States military issue, and it was made in Korea, South Korea, the good Korea. This one here is your ACU one. This one is genuine GI issue, as you can see by the tag right here. Molly 2, 1 quart canteen. And you get the idea on this one. Now, this Alice one, the design really hasn't changed on the Alice models. And it's been around since actually World War I, when they're using a belt hanger system that would hook into the eyelets of a GI pistol belt. That went all the way through World War II in Korea until the M1956 gear, which has your tried and true clips here, which became part of the Alice gear. Now, there is more to this particular pouch than meets the eye, as well as this one. This one was built from the onset as a general purpose utility pouch. This one was just made for canteens, but as we know, history is very interesting like that. During the Vietnam War, long-range recon teams, MACV-SOG recon units, and special forces in general would repurpose these canteen pouches. They'd fill them up with magazines, they'd fill them up with hand grenades, 40mm grenades for the grenade launcher, but for our intents and purposes, we're going to be going over it in the paintball configuration. As far as improvised pod carrier, if you're looking to do a speed load, these things are not bad with your generic view loader 75 round pods. You can see holds these things in here pretty well, and there's enough play in here to allow you to just yank one out as a speed load and just pray to God you don't lose this one in the field. Other than that, I've been using it more for gear storage, but if you're looking for mag fed, let me show you. Sorry guys, I'm kind of doing this one-handed, so bear with me on it. Now, you can hold your larger all-black view loader pods in here, but as you can see, keeping these things in here would be a more snug fit, but at the same time would be the same problem. If you yank one out, you better find a way to keep this one secure in place, because this thing does not exactly fit crosswise. Magazines, on the other hand, you can do AR type mags, but we're using paintball mags for this and trying to get this thing put in here. I got 2 magazines in here so far. As you can see, I could pop them in like this, or even sideways. Let me see if I can get number 3 in here. Okay, got a third. As you can see, this is kind of the standard fare that guys would do in Vietnam. They'd be stuffing their pouches with magazines, and for a recon or a SOG unit, having enough firepower was always on their mind, especially for the missions that they're doing later on. But as you can see, pretty tight fit like this. You can't even snap these things down, or you can at least get one down for a snug fit. Other than that, you won't really be able to do much with it like this. So if these were actual 5.56 mags, I could see you doing stuff with them, but for a magazine pouch setup like this, This isn't bad, but it would definitely be a no-go for our intents and purposes. However, guys managed to get away with this in Vietnam. But these are for paintball mags, not actual firearms, so there is that consideration. I've been using it primarily for this thing. This, you guys know, my handmade net, burlap, use it for sniping, throw it on a boonie hat, but I'm using the canteen pouch as a little stuff sack for this damn thing. So there is that. You can use it for similarly sized items, and as you've probably seen me use this in other video work or demo pieces, so screw it, we'll move on. Okay, now as you can see, still got the ACU one out here. Fast Tech style buckle, can easily pull this out. Didn't have anything in here, but as far as paintball use goes, you've got this cover in here that you can use it to keep items protected. This is pretty much what you can do for paintball. And as you can see, we're going to try some basic 100 round pods, or in this case 75 rounds, but that's semantics depending upon who makes them. These can get the cover on here, and because this thing is made to be adjustable, this is kind of stuff that the US military likes. They looked at what the guys in Vietnam were doing, particularly their special forces and recon teams, and the revision of their Molly gear definitely shows the improvements that guys at Natick wanted to make. Give me 1 second, guys. This thing is a little hard to work with. I haven't worked with this one that often, but as you can see, adjusting the buckle on here, you can get this thing further loosened to make it a nice snug fit. Therefore, adding on to your capabilities. As you can see, filled up, we're good to go. And we can carry 200 paintballs on us like it's nothing. Same goes for these more thicker, heavier type pods. These things are also able to do it the same way, though these are a little bigger, so you may have to adjust this thing out a whole hell of a lot more for this particular brand of pod. Definitely workable though. Magazine fed, on the other hand, four 20 round 68 caliber magazines. As you can see, you could hold 4 or 5 30 round 5.56 mags in here if you needed to, as it was designed for that by Natick. Field stripped MRE, night vision goggles. As you can see, you could hold them fairly easily in here. But as a rule of thumb, always make sure that this thing is adjusted to the max. Not bad, but with the way the magazines sit in here, it seems more like you're holding AK magazines than 5.56 mags. But you get the idea. You've got good adjustability on the sides of the elastic, so can also put 3 of them in like this, though won't really close well either. So either way, something that you could figure out on your own in the field. This thing is great for general purpose, small, medium pouches. You got no problems with. But we also have a bigger, badder brother to work with. And I also forgot, these pouches here are also, these canteen ones for your 1 quarts are also great for holding 16-ounce air tanks. So let me rig that one up right quick. Give me 1 minute. Okay, rig this thing up to hold the air tank here. You can do this with other canteen pouches, but these Molly ones are probably your best bet. And here I've got a 16-ounce air tank. As you can see, 16 ounce. But this is the largest I would ever want to put in a 1 quart canteen / GP pouch for obvious reasons. Especially because you can easily still pull this thing out without even knowing it or anything like that. With something like this, if you're going to run a pouch like this for your air tanks, always make sure you've got some kind of a rubber thing that could go on these straps here to keep it in place. It's a very critical thing that you do that, especially if you're running and gunning with this thing. Other than that, this thing is definitely a good example of a solid utility pouch. Now, moving on, we've got the bigger brother to this thing, where this is genuine GI issue. This one here was made by Modern Combat Sports. This is their large tank pouch, which you can see is an oversized version of that GI pouch I was showing you earlier. Same examples, except this one's got a completely different strap system. This one here you could actually cut out and replace if you needed to with something else, but I digress. We're going to show its utility factor. This pouch, because of its size dimensions, you can probably get away with using AK-47 magazines in here if you're doing real steel shooting. As far as canteens go, because this is an oversized canteen pouch, this thing will swallow a GI 1 quart whole, and you'll still have room for other things with it. That includes a canteen cup, maybe the stove part that goes on the canteen as well, and maybe even the canteen cup lid if you want a full canteen kit in here. So as you can see, definitely made for larger water bottles or military issued flasks. Now, paintball usage. This thing will hold your pods pretty easily, especially if you're running 100 round pods. You got your 75 rounders here. And as you can see, this is going to be a little bit of a dance. I'm doing it one-handed, but these kind of pouches, slide them in. These things will be swallowed whole as well. Definitely good if you are the kind of person who is worried about keeping your stuff secured like that. These kind of pods would work good. These other ones, these 32-degree style, they sit up a little higher, but these things would definitely be swallowed in here and kept very secure one way or another. As you can see, I can even tighten this thing up too, so you definitely have a good pouch if you needed to carry 2 pods together in a belt. Magazines, basic 68 caliber. You could easily put them in here. This thing could hold 3. And, what the hell, let's make it a fourth. As you can see, side by side. If you're running a mag fed, this is definitely the way to go. You can carry 2 of these on your belt, 2 of these on to tape together on your gun. You can have 10, 12 magazines all prepped and ready to go when you need them. And as you can see, you can even tighten this thing down further. So as a magazine pouch, this is definitely what would be like a 4-cell East European AK pouch. But I digress on that one. Definitely worth it if you're running magazines. But other accoutrements will work in this thing. You can stuff a lot in here. But as far as a tank pouch goes, tanks, as I said, you gotta be careful with these kind of things. I would definitely run something like this 16-ounce tank. This could easily go in here, but as you can see, for as short as it is, it would most definitely be swallowed in this pouch. But a bigger one, such as this 20-ouncer, would fit in here quite nicely too, but also it would be swallowed to a point. And finally, my personal tank, the big ass 24-ouncer, and this thing will fits in here nice and snug. You could have this thing duct taped into place and it will hold. That is why I love this tank in here. It's large enough so that way you don't have to worry about it slipping out that much, and fits the pouch nice and tight. Definitely something that needs to be looked into if you're doing more dynamic movement for paintball. And we finally got one more pouch to look at, so let me clear some of this out of here. Alright, we got your basic saw pouch or large general purpose pouch. This one was built by Wrap 4, ACU pattern. One I use as a GP pouch on my rig for when I'm wearing ACUs. For this one, to give a little idea of what you can do with it, I've got a 1-quart canteen stashed in here, though you can use other similarly sized water flasks or canteens that are NATO or Warsaw packed issue. But as far as our paintball and airsoft needs go, the 275 round pods made by Viewloader, they fit in here perfect. So if you need to carry 2 pods on you, top off your magazines, then this pouch would definitely be for you if you're running a minimalistic load, or if you need to have something here to upscale your kit. Pouches this size are used for IFAKs and hold first aid kits. 100 round pods are a little bigger. As you can see, fits perfect. Doesn't have much luck going down, which is why they made the strap on here rather adjustable, knowing that players will stuff just about anything in these kind of pouches. You could tighten that down to keep it secure, and you got something to operate with. Magazine fed, definitely another option if you're rolling magazines. This thing will hold 4 magazines total that are 20 round 68 caliber. As you can see, 4 of them right here, and Could easily get them in. But the problem is securing them. You'll need something a little, you'll be able to do it, but not have that full closure that would be preferred if you need to keep these things protected from the elements. But it can be done if you need to for a game. So keep that in mind if you need to haul additional kit, maintenance gear. These kind of pouches are more than ideal for it. And they've got a wide range of aftermarket accessories like cozies and shit like that for other ends. Now, let's move on with some other equipment that we could modify or other gear we can work with. Okay, as you can see, I got 3 different canteen slash utility pouches slash accessory pouches, gear pouches set up. Right in the center is going to be your classic Alice 1-quart canteen pouch. This one is not USGI issue, but built to GI spec. This one is made in South Korea in the M81 woodland camouflage pattern. I've had this one since high school, so this thing has seen a lot. It's been on my gear selection for a good number of years. As you can see, Alice clips, like a synthetic wool liner. And let me see if I can find where it says made in. Here we go. And as you can see, made in Korea. Definitely a good option if you're needing things on the go. The other 2 right here is genuine United States Army issue. This one is the 1-quart canteen slash utility pouch in the Army's failed universal camouflage pattern. And this is made by Specialty Defense. It is in the GI spec Molly setup. The other one here is a Tiger Stripe version made by Modern Combat Sports. Same good qualities. I like the Tiger Stripe, but my only gripe would be the Velcro and how close the PALS webbing is on this one compared to that of the US military issue. Now, I did a review on this a while back, so you can check that out, but our main purpose on this is to address a considerable problem. And our problem is with air tanks. Right here is going to be how these 3 will be judged. This is a 16-ounce compressed air tank, and as a problem-solving measure, we've got some new items that will help us for this particular segment. We've got what here is shock cord. This is 17 feet worth of this stuff, but we're only going to use a small portion of that for this particular endeavor. And we got a metric shit ton of cord locks. I got these on Amazon. Total for this is about $11 at least for both the shock cord and the cord locks. So we'll be diving into that one with what we're doing. Okay, first item up, we're looking at your basic Alice 1-quart canteen pouch. As I said, this is made in South Korea. This is an M81 Woodland and also an Alice model. Now, cool thing about this is, yeah, it could hold the 1-quart canteen, but during Vietnam, MACV recon teams, LRPs, and other special forces units were taking these canteen pouches and repurposing them for anything from 20-round AR mags to anything from fragmentation grenades, ammo for their M79s or 203s, but for our paintball players, we've got another pressing issue. That would be the air tank. This one, as I said, 16 ounce, and on its own, this isn't going to be that bad, but you can't exactly secure it that firmly in place. So we're going to need extra means of doing this. What you're going to need is a strand of this shock cord. As you can see, why it's called shock cord is because it's elastic. It's not going to snap on you when you need something that's extreme, but flexible enough for a lot of other things. That and a cord lock. Now what we're going to do is, with the Alice canteen pouch, we're going to feed it into the Alice webbing here. Make sure you mind the Alice clips here. You could remove these if you need to. We are then going to tie this off. Oh, but first, we're going to feed the cord lock in here. Make sure we feed this in correctly. Then we're going to tie it off. You could tie it, you could tape it, and you could also melt the ends just in case. Me, I'm just going to tie it off as a demonstration piece for this one, but it's the same general concept. Okay. Okay, good. We're tied off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the air tank. We're going to flap it in. We could even snap these in as if it's the actual canteen, and there's a actual proper way to do this. Just fit this thing right on, or you can even do it like this. Open it up a little bit like this. Put the cord here and use the cord lock, and you can easily cinch this in place, and this tank is now definitely secure. It's not going anywhere. And for all you guys that need to jump out of an aircraft, this is also one of those things that can work for your canteens too. Paracord isn't bad or anything like that, but shock cord just gives a little extra insurance, especially for all you guys that have to do static line jumps. You can see, put it over the canteen neck, lock cord right here, lock it into place, so that way you can keep your canteen on you. When you do a static line jump, you're good to go. Now, let me prep the other two types so that way I can show you how this could go for other formats. Alright, next item up for this little demo is going to be your standard Molly 1-quart canteen / utility pouch in the Army issued Universal Camouflage Pattern, UCP. As you can see, this is Molly setup. And bringing out the... Okay, opened it. We all know how Molly Canteen works. For those of us that do this stuff more professionally, or actually look at the training materials as the Armed Prepared Citizen, we know this could easily fit your GI issue 1-quart canteen. Throw the strap on. locked in place, we're good to go. However, for those of us that use this thing as a paintball pouch, I'm going to drop in your 16-ounce tank. This fits on right, it can be adjusted, but there's still a very serious problem of it being yanked out in the field like this. This is where your shock cord really comes in handy, especially with this particular design. Now, I'm not saying that this is a design flaw, but a lot of paintball companies that would use something like this marketed the original pouch like this as a air tank pouch. So, for us players, we've got to be able to keep up with that idea. Therefore, we're going to do this the same way as we did with the other pouch, with the Alice one. However, what you can do is we're actually going to weave this through both the Alice ladder webbings on each one. We're going to to take up the additional slack, we're going to tie a single overhand knot, come up underneath the second one, leave that as is. This is going to be a little bit of a securing measure. We are then going to feed the cord lock in same basic thing. I should have burned this so that way it stays in place, but this is mainly a demo thing, so doesn't really matter. Okay, got it in. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to eye it off. Make sure you have plenty of slack to do a double overhand knot. And because this is elastic, you can stretch it out a little bit and it will stay pretty damn tight. That's a beauty behind this thing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our air tank, we're going to place it back in the conventional manner that it was. Make sure we have a little bit of slack on your buckle here, so that way it could lock in correctly. Make sure we tighten this thing up as needed. Tighten down the sides right here. And that's another good thing with this shock cord. You can actually replace the elastic in here if you need to, but that's if you know how to sew and everything. Make sure you put the end over the tank and just slide on your thing, your cord lock, and this thing is now secured. You won't have to worry about losing this in the field in this configuration. You can use it with the larger air tank / utility pouches that Rapid does sell, so you definitely have a good modification job with this if you need it. And as a further demonstration part, now for a lot of my friends that are in the active military, I got one that's with the 173rd right now in Italy. So if you're watching, dude, I hope this helps you. Pop this canteen in. Now, considering how they have to do static line jumps, this would definitely be something you want to do if you're in the airborne. It's definitely one of those last minute little tie things. That's the other little bad thing. Gotta make sure this damn thing doesn't come apart on you. So you could eye it, you could tape it, you could glue it, you can burn it. That is the reason why shock cord is one of those things that should be in every soldier, warfighter's little bag of tricks. And as you can see, placed it on, and now you got another extra piece of security if you need to jump with this thing in a static line, halo, or air assault situation. That's the thing, you always want to have those options. Now, I'm going to do this one more time with the Rap 4, so one moment. Okay, before I show this particular part, I want to say I was actually on the fence on this one because I already did the GI version of it. I already did the Alice version, but we're going to be using, again, same thing with the shock cord and the cord lock. We're using a 1-quart canteen / utility / small tank pouch from Modern Combat Sports. As you can see, Tiger Stripe, I like it. You'll very rarely find anything that's actual GI or military spec in a pattern like this, though I wish to God they would. If guys at Modern Combat Sports are watching this, great product. I will say, just space the webbing out for the molly in the back and loose the Velcro on these straps. These are the two primary reasons why I chose to discuss this particular pouch, because of the unique features that would set it apart. Even though they're small, they may prove to be of some significance down the line when you have to modify your shit. So right now I have it set up as a canteen pouch because this is how we also set it up as tank pouch. So remove the tank. Before I plop it in, I already did this prior to filming, but I rigged up the shock cord. What I had to do was line it through one pouch bar up here over the other under this one, using a double overhand knot to keep it in place. So if you want to really keep it in place, you could tie it further together, tie it in around itself, an additional cord lock, duct tape, burn it together, whatever. But you can probably gorilla glue the damn thing, but that is to individual preference. Now, to demonstrate this one, I'm using a basic 16-ounce CO2 tank just because it's one I have on hand, and in my opinion, the 16-ounce tanks are your best bet for something that could hold a 1-quart canteen. Drop in. Definitely follow this the same way as we would the other air tanks. Make sure we have a little slack in the buckle initially. Buckle it in. Tie it down. Make sure that we've got enough tension on here. We can actually pull on this a little bit, but as you can see, same problem as with GI issue until we bring about the cord lock. The shock cord. Wrap the shock cord around the top of the tank. Make sure it's on here nice and firm over the brass fixture, and just, quite frankly, tie that shock cord around here, tighten up that cord lock, and this thing will not go anywhere. As you can see, I'm pulling on part of the pouch and the tank. It's not going anywhere. Your tank is secure, and you'll be able to keep it that way. Now, this is something that every player, as I probably said, should learn, should know, and how to do. Materials are relatively cheap, so it will not break your bank that badly, or even in the slightest in the long run. So keep these things in mind with pouches like this, how to secure your tanks. For my viewers that are military, who's part of airborne infantry or are airborne qualified or still jump, hopefully this is something that will help you in the long run. Okay, let's talk tape. This particular roll of duct tape is actually a military green, and duct tape, as far as what you can do with it, is pretty good. Used for taping up pieces of equipment, tape shit down. However, it got a wide range of applications during Vietnam. Now, if the medic didn't have his medical tape, he'd use duct tape to keep bandages on, stuff like that in the field. Or in the case of long-range recon and McAfee SOG teams, it actually helped become a form of camouflage in itself. Got a couple pictures up here to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, now my next little problem to deal with is involving my magazines. Now, these magazines are 20 shot capacity, they're T68 mags. They don't even make them anymore as far as I know, but these things are not bad for what they're worth. But getting these things out of a pouch or anything like that in a wet environment, in a environment where my adrenaline is already through the roof, or I'm wearing something like bulky gloves and I can't get a good purchase on my magazine to get it out of a pouch, mag carrier, or shingle, stuff like that. I will admit you need fast solutions for these kind of problems, and I would say I've got too many things on my plate personally to buy ready-made items, especially from Magpul Industries. Now, God bless those guys, they make some pretty damn good shit, but this is what I'm teaching before. This is the Magpul stuff before Magpul Industries. What you need is your magazines. Now, for this one, I'm using T68 mags, but this stuff has been done for decades with soldiers, especially in the field. They did this with 20 round mags, they did this with 30 round mags during and after Vietnam. So these are things that should be learned, especially for those guys that are in the military, armed prepared citizen. Airsoft guys probably know this shit, but for all of us getting into tactical paintball, this is going to be a little something new, or hopefully, if you know it, good on you. Spread the wealth, right? Now, I've pre-cut some 550 cord. I got some GI type OD green duct tape, and that's pretty much what we're going to do. We're going to be making Magpuls. Now, you could burn the ends of these. I decided not to because this is purely a demo. I'm going to modify it later, but what you want to do is you take your ends. We're going to tie it right now in a, we're going to tie it like this. Double overhand knot, pull it taut. We're then going to place the paracord on the bottom of your magazine. Measure out how much we need for a good purchase. Let's say if the tape goes right here, we could hold it like this or adjust it just a little more. That way we got a good pull on here. These things could also fold out of your way if you need to. We'll then take our GI duct tape. Now you could wrap the duct tape around the magazine one time, two times. I do it once just because it's me, but if you feel the need to secure it further, then 2 times should be more than enough. Make sure we have enough to go around the entirety of the magazine. And because I'm not burning the ends of this 550 cord, I'm actually taping them in place with the magazine. So that being said, this is going to keep your magazine nice and secure. make sure that you wrap it around the magazine fully. I may have to do this a second time just to make sure I've got consistency, but this is pretty much your mag pole. Nothing but paracord and duct tape. But this is just like a one thing, just pop it in, or you can make it even tighter by folding it over like this and taping it down further. Either way, user preference, but I'll demonstrate both versions of this anyway because this is stuff that should be secure, and who wants to feel the embarrassment of having your mag pole come apart when you're getting shot at when you need that magazine like 3 seconds ago. So pulling it out, grab your magazine, pull your cord up like this, and we are going to repeat the process. Same area, make sure we have a consistent pull, and you want to make this nice and tight, nice and smooth, so that way you know you've got everything right where you fucking need it. Bada bing, bada boom, you've got a good mag pole. Now, let me show you why we do things like this. So, okay, as you can see, got my gun, got my gear set. Now, the thing is with your mag poles is that you got this easy grip thing. It means you can grip it, get it out, get it into the gun very quickly. It's not exactly a fluid motion, but it is enough for you to be able to get a good grip on the gun, get it out, not have to worry about probably grabbing another magazine or anything like that, and you don't have to worry about your hand slipping off of it and you losing it. I got my dump pouch out here prepped and ready to go because I'm going to demonstrate how to do a rapid reload with the mag pole. So got the dump bag ready, and as you can see, I can engage, get this in, open a pouch, grab a mag, get it in, I'm back in the fight. It's easy as 1, 2, 3, wham bam, and thank you ma'am. Okay, sorry about how abrupt that particular part was, but had to be done for time constraint's sake. Now moving on. Right here is my old school LBB 88 tactical load bearing vest. This thing I've worn the living fuck out of when I was doing paintball. First I went with the Alice rig. I got some pictures of that. Now I'm going to pop up right now, and then I got some pics of me rolling an LBB 88 in the field. Let me pop those up right quick. Holy fuck, that takes me back a while. I was between the ages of 20 and 23 when I was running that kind of stuff. Then I went to the ACUs. Then I went back to Woodland. Then I went with the Special Ops stuff. But now I've come full circle. I'm back to Woodland. And this thing still holds a place in my heart because this was a vest that I grew up watching, and every action movie, every documentary on the military tactics, stuff like that, and I always saw it as a cool guy's thing. You can hold 6 magazines total, 2 AR mags on the outboard pouches, 1 in each of the inboard pouches. Yeah, you can still supplement this with magazine pouches in the works, but for this particular portion of the video, I've got one unique problem: adding the butt pack. Now, as you can see, this is pretty much rigged up for your standard fare. And this particular vest, you still have the older components to run the Alice clips on here. You can run hydration lines if you run a backpack, or you could supplement an Alice pack for it. But me, I need to hang the butt pack. So these vests, unlike my Molly Medic 2, have the D-rings here that you could use to attach additional gear. The enhanced field pack or training pack that they came out with in the woodland pattern, that was an official military issue at the time, worked with something like this. You could strap into the things here, but if you're wanting to run something different, like in this case I'm running a Black Hawk butt pack, their enhanced model. This is your old one from your BTS line, and quite frankly, it's not really that compatible. It was designed to work more with the Alice suspenders or your Black Hawk suspenders. But quick fix would be these little D-rings. Now, as you can see, these little fuckers, these things are a godsend. You should have a set of D-rings in various sizes in your kit, particularly for instances like this. If you're not going to 550 cord this stuff down or secure it with 550 cord, then the D-rings for gear attachment are always a good option. Make sure you tape them quiet so that way there's no metal on metal. But as you can see, this is secured fairly well on here with these clips. As you can see, they're hooked into the D-rings on the butt pack and onto the plastic D-rings onto the vest. Therefore, it creates a more stabilizing effect and allows the vest to carry additional weight in the butt pack and allows you to really build up out from this. Generally speaking, that's what's the best thing about these kind of D-rings. You could also use stuff like rifle sling clips. I've got a few of those, and just like the D-rings, you can use them for various odds and ends. Let me see if I got one up here, and yes I do. These little HK ones, these things, you can get these anywhere. I got mine from Amazon. So if you're doing arts and crafts projects with your kids and you need to make a keychain, these things work great. Paintball, airsoft, you need replacement clips for your slings, always keep some of these with you. Or if you need to build something with some Fast-Tex buckles, some lashing straps you can get at arts and craft shops, military surplus, then you've got options for this. So always keep these in your kit, always keep these and D-rings as part of your maintenance gear, your various tactical projects you need to fix things. These things are a godsend. Okay, let's say you've got one of these old Alice pouches and you gotta stuff it with anything from it for setting up a quick general purpose pouch, IFAK, or you just got stuff 330 round AR mags in here because you gotta do some stuff. But you've got an all Molly system, so the clips on here aren't exactly the best for mounting onto the Molly platform as is. What we got here is the stopgap measure for it. This is an Alice to Molly adapter. This is U.S. military issue. These are from Specialty Defense Systems, I believe, and they made these things in the millions. Quick, easy to make. You could ship these out by the frickin' crate loads to anywhere you need. And this as far as the Molly system goes, this was a stopgap measure, at least until 2007, 2008, as far as I know, because the Molly system was still slowly being integrated into the military. After 9/11, a lot of stuff was fast-tracked, particularly body armor. The interceptor vest was prioritized above everything else, though a lot of stuff in the private sector, as I mentioned, with my Special Forces look on the early days of the global war on terror, you find a lot of commercial market stuff like Molly pouches being made, and those were used a lot by the time we went into Iraq in '03. But these things generally you can use not just for the Alice stuff, but let me demonstrate what I'm talking about, because a lot of people may not know about this. So go there, and just slide these into the keepers. Make sure that they're secure, and voila! Now your Alice pouch is Molly compliant. They did this with magazine pouches. They did this with canteen pouches especially. But there are other uses for this thing. Now you'll notice you got these two holes here and here. These are the same as on your older Alice backpacks, and the same thing for this is the same as the webbing on the Alice backpacks. These things can fit the older M1910 hook system. So if you got like the old M8 bayonet scabbard for your M7 bayonets, it would work with this as well as other items. So keep that in mind. Another thing that I can demonstrate with it is using one of these larger D-rings. Now, guys in Vietnam, they needed metric shit ton of water, especially because they were humping the jungles, they didn't have enough gear on their belts, and camelbacks were not invented yet. So what your grunts would do is they'd take it, they'd hook their canteens up like this or something to that effect, and they would take the D-rings and hook these onto the webbing of their backpack. So thankfully these Alice Molly adapters serve as a nice little analog for that. Okay, give me 1 second to fix this, because this is something that was generally done, but I haven't done something like this, so I will definitely okay, there we go. Got this thing hooked up. Guys have the D-rings hooked into your gear like this, and then just hook on the Alice canteens. That way they had all the water they needed for their patrol, recon, you name it. This is something that grunts did. I'm using this as a quick example, but with the Alice Molly adapters, you could do a lot more than just rig up canteens, rig up older mounting gear. You can also do the reverse. Now, what I mean is, let's say you've got the reverse. You've got Alice. You've got a military issue Alice belt, the GI pistol belts that worked with the Alice system and worked with the old M1967 system, the old M1956. You got to make something modern like this compliant with that old mounting system. That's where these come in. Just like with mounting it onto a Molly vest, what you're going to do is you're going to weave this into the PALS webbing on back of the item, and you're going to rig the adapter in like that, just as if you were rigging this onto an actual vest or platform, but this is the reverse. And rigging this up as if it were actual issued. So and here we go. We now have Molly Canteen that is ALICE compliant. I got a couple spare clips in here to demonstrate, but generally speaking, you can do this with most Molly platforms. And now, with the clips on, you're definitely more ALICE compliant, and the Molly straps you can use either as additional securing means to the actual belt, or you can just tuck these right out of the way and leave them as is to keep this more as an ALICE item. Let's say, depending upon the kind of scabbard you carry, you need to get a knife on your battle belt, or you don't want to take your gear, all your pouches off, run this through. Easy. You can just slide this thing on, and now your belt will be Molly compliant to carry a combat knife. In this case, I'm using a Winchester Bowie knife as an example. I've done this a while back. I did it once with my old Spec Ops vest with a modified one to make it compatible with the knife. Let me pop up a picture on that one. Okay, now when it comes down to some more improvised shit, we've got your tried and true camelback carrier. Now, this one is a genuine camelback, and as you can see from the woodland camo on here, this was an aftermarket field modification done by its previous owner, and I gotta say, it's a very good job too. This was probably a commercial off-the-shelf purchase that the soldier did, and they used an old BDU jacket to make a slip cover on here. Slipped it through the top part here, and as we could slide this thing down, we can see what it used to be. A genuine black camelback carrier. Got a little thing here, and this is the Hydro Pack model. This was done by somebody named Morgan from the 52nd 74th, I think it was, 5274. I'm not sure what the number designate means, but this is definitely one of those cool things done by an actual soldier. And when we think about it, this thing isn't as flexible as you would see the actual hydration carriers that molly onto your rigs and how those have become these days, but you could pull the Velcro open. You've got a nice, really insulated area to slide your hand into. As you can see, this thing can go all the way up to my elbow, so this would make a nice convenient little carrier for little odds and ends. If you need a Ranger roll something, put it in this, stuff like that. But because it's got the BDU pockets on here, you can also put other items in here, maybe first aid items, maybe spare magazines, sky's the limit. You're limited to your imagination on something like this one. Alright, YouTube, that completes this video about improvising your gear, how to adapt your gear. This for paintball, airsoft, or even those warfighters out there that watch this shit. This is stuff that you can do when you don't have the supplies, when you need to have fast solutions to immediate problems. This is kind of stuff that we need to look at. We need to share this kind of information around. All my bushcraft friends, my survivalist, prepper, armed prepared citizen types, you guys understand what I'm talking about. Same goes for all the warfighters out there that have been on an FOB and you don't know how to get certain supplies in when you need them. You got to improvise your solutions on the spot, especially when you don't have the supplies or the ability to get stuff ready made. Now, if you guys want to read a written portion to this, check out outerheavenpaintball.blogspot.com. Also, you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Instagram, you could find my Teespring shop. Links for those are in the description to this video. And also, don't forget to check out my friends over at Acid Tactical. You can check them out, acidtactical.com. They're on Etsy, they're on Amazon, eBay. They've also got a YouTube channel as well as a Teespring shop that I also manage to help them out. So check them out. Description links will be in the description to this video. Anyway, this is Big Boss, and I'm out of here.